Good evening, A2D family. Thank you guys for tuning in to another Friday night edition of On the Road to Victory Live. I'm your host, Jimmy Smith. Tonight I have with me Ralphie. Look at him going. Not only producing, but he is here tonight. Let's go, baby.
I wish the Phillies were doing a lot better than what they're producing out there on the field tonight. But you can't win all the time, Jimmy. You really can't.
Maybe this will kick him into gear. They've only got 66 days, play 60 games, so gonna be intense, man. Look at us. Hey-oh, Eagles, Phillies, loving it, man. Loving that, getting it going. Now, Tommy will be joining us as well. So Mr. No Notes himself will be here tonight. So all of those of you that are getting pumped for that, get pumped because he will be here. Ralph, everybody knows who you are, but tonight we're just going to get right into it. Tonight's show is brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC. That is Dr. Paul Vidal. He is our doc. Make him yours. That is in the Cherry Hill, Burlington, and Princeton locations. You can find that at specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Also, Ambuck Services. They're our gutter guys. You can find them at ambuckservices.com, AMBUCK services.com. Also, check out all of our A2D merchandise at phillydrinkers.com, Philly Drinkers LLC. Check those guys out. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. We're finally getting a little taste for sports back, and I am excited, man. I know it's baseball, it's basketball, and sure, this show is maybe about the Eagles, but who gives a damn? We're going to talk a little bit about football, but you guys can talk about whatever the hell you want. We're going to talk about whatever the hell we want. Philly's not doing too well, as Ralphie mentioned. Well, it's all right. You can't win them all. So, what's going on, Don? Thanks for tuning in. Frank, what's going on, brother? Gavin, my man, thanks for tuning in. Everybody, hope you're having a great night. We appreciate you guys taking the time to spend it with us. You guys saw the poll question. You saw a little bit of the topics. We're going to be breaking down, now that we heard that the training camp's going to start next Tuesday with 80 people on the roster rather than 90. So that means 7 more guys have to go. We're going to talk about which guys we think that's going to be. We're going to talk about this roster, who's on the bubble. Who do we see making this 53? How many at each position are we talking about here? So we're going to break that stuff down. But why don't we get to that poll question? We'll ask Tom when he jumps in, but Ralph will let
it does suck.
Man.
And listen, that's what happens when you don't put stock in your bullpen in the offseason.
Again. So, here we go.
This is what you get, Gavin. It's going to be a long year if this continues. Okay, 60 games.
Luckily, it'll only be 66 days.
Yeah,
so,
right.
My God, I thought the same thing. I'm like, you son of a bitch. Here we go.
That's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get.
I got pumped for 2 seconds when Didi hit the homer. I was like, all right, here we go. And then let down. Now, not going to lose my mind. It's first game. Knocking a little rust off, so it's all good. Michael, thanks for taking the time on your vacation. Enjoy yourself down there at Myrtle Beach. Stay safe, my friend, but have yourself a great time. Oh, man, I wish I was on vacation. At least I have sports back. That is a vacation to me. Ralphie, how beautiful is it, dude, that sports are back?
Oh, dude, it's amazing. It's amazing thing, from where we were at almost 4 months ago. Thinking, okay, we're not going to have sports, how are we going to do this, right? Because we've never done it before in our lives. At least me and you haven't. Yeah. So, but it feels to have, something to actually watch on TV, because once sports were going out, to me, to be honest, I haven't watched any live television at all since sports have gone. But since sports are back on the TV, I wiped off the dust off the TV and I turned it on for tonight's Phillies game. So
there you go, man. I'm with you, though. It's like I can't even watch anything. I'm heartbroken. Sports are my life. So I've been putting on NBA and Madden, and I literally will let the computer play itself just so I can pretend I am watching sports. That's what I've been doing to get by. So it's been rough times. I'm fiending. So it's been a beautiful last couple days. The basketball exhibitions are going on, but today we got some real damn baseball going on. Last night we did too. So, a rain delay, of course, on the first day. Right. Like, welcome to 2020. Oh, my God. But, all right, we'll get back on track here, but keep your guys' questions coming. Who cares what it's about? We love it. So the poll question is, do you see the Philadelphia Eagles we saw that today. The banner was raised, the 2019. Do you see us going back to back? It's something that rarely happens in this division.
Man, it's so tough to say because you just said it, right? I mean, there hasn't been a repetitive or a back-to-back NFC champion since we've done it. What was it? 03, 04 or 04 to 05, something like that in that 2-year span. So it's been a while since, a team in this division has won back-to-back NFC championships. On paper, the Eagles look pretty damn good, right? I mean, the defensive line looks great. Obviously the offensive line with Dillard on the left-hand side looks phenomenal. Okay. Yeah. And but to the poll, you know what? I'm gonna go agree. I think we go back to back this year, right? I think we do. I think the Cowboys, even though they lost, we all know how the Cowboys are. They gotten better in the offseason, but I think we're right there with them. And listen, we won it last year. It's our title. You got to come take it from us. So I'm gonna go agree. We win the NFC East again.
I love it, Ralphie. And like you just said, you got to come take it from us. Now, the thing is, we've talked week in, week out about, hey, there's a lot of question marks, so we're looking at on paper, this team looks great. But let's just clear the waters here. Let's clear the air, everything. Let's look at this right now. We won the damn NFC East with what we had last year. I don't give a shit. I mean, you know what I mean? Even if they're questionable, they've got to be better than last year. I mean, if everyone stays healthy.
I mean, what we harped on it so much, throughout these 4, even after the season ended, just talking Eagles about, what Carson Wentz did in those last 4 weeks of the season with slop, right? And now he's coming into a season now with wide receivers and Alshon and Deshaun that I pray to God can stay healthy for a full season, because imagine if those two can stay healthy for a full season. I mean, Carson can reach the sky, and both of them can stay healthy this year.
I hear you on that. And, one of the questions I've raised from the get-go, because we don't really know, was, is Alshon Jeffrey going to be ready? Are we going to put him or are we going to put him on the PUP list? So, yeah. But they're talking about, he's running now and maybe he is ready. So like you said, if he's healthy, oh my Lord, I think people sleep on that. Oh my. Now, Jay, what's going on, man? Dak deserves $45 million a year. Well, he probably deserves a lot, but the Cowboys went ahead and smacked him right in the face, did not give him a long-term deal. That's something we're also going to talk about tonight. So that's wonderful that they did that. That's somebody you probably want to lock up, but hey, that's fine. Eagles are more balanced. Michael, I couldn't agree more. We talked about how this defense is going to look. It's going to look fantastic, I think. And I think Jim is going to finally get the credit he deserves. And that actually might bite us on the ass because he might be gone then next year. But I think he's going to have a great year. And the salary cap, all these things are going to change. So this is the year to kick some ass. Finally break the curse. Yeah, exactly. This is the year to do it. This is one of those years where we feel like we're real confident, right? But it's all on paper. So we'll see what's going on. What's going on, Jake? Yeah, that's right. He agrees. And we have some coaching coming. That's the beautiful thing. That one of the things we talked about in one of the first shows here on A2D was, hey, look at not just the players that we added, but the coaching staff, the medical staff. How about it, Ralphie? How beautiful was that we got rid of Carson Walsh, Mike Rowe, Corey Unlin, people that, were just stinking it up. And, I love it, dude. I love the Aaron Moorhead, Marco Emanuel, all that stuff. So I couldn't agree more. I think we're balanced all over the place. So I love it, Jake and Jay. Great insight there, guys. How are you feeling there, Ralph?
And Bo, they're still one of the biggest question marks until we, see what training camp is. I'm going to keep on saying it until they fix it, is the linebackers, right? Because that's still the biggest question mark. Out of everything on this team, the biggest question mark is the linebackers, because all you have is Jatavius Brown, a guy that's done it in this league so far, and then you have your undrafted guys, right? And then you have your rookies, and then you have slop, then more slop there. So it's going to be interesting to see what we do once free agency gets rolling. Well, the free agency has already happened, but when the training camp gets rolling, and then now we can really see what what's out there on the market free agency wise. If they bring back a guy like Nigel Bradham, or they just bring back a guy from the outside, or make a trade for a linebacker. But making a trade for the linebackers, I don't think that's going to happen. I think I think what's going to happen with the Eagles is that once they get this training camp and mini camp going, and they see the players on the field, and they say, okay, we need this, we need that, they go to the market and they just start, calling up the players. Hey, you want to come here? We'll give you one for 25. One for $35 million. Nigel, you want to come play?
Well, and that's a great point. The linebacking core, we talk about it every damn week because it's like, sure, running back is a question mark if there's an injury, but linebacker, there's just a damn question mark right there staring at us. Yeah. And we've talked about some of the names out there, your Deron Lees, Mark Barons, some of the guys that have been in the league that were hyped up at first and didn't necessarily pan out. But they could fit in this defense. I love the Nigel Bradham, because he's a guy that's a proven leader that knows the system. He would do well. But one of the things you talk about, training camp coming up, now that we talk about 80 guys, it's only 80. Right now, you're going to see guys getting cut. So maybe there's a guy in the draft that they really liked. Maybe there's a guy that there's a surprise cut on a team that they pick up. You know what I mean? So maybe there's a guy on a team that we're not even thinking of. So I like what you said about trading. Yeah. There's so many options out there that
and another thing, and that's another question mark too with the running backs, and we talked about it, 3 weeks ago with one of the polls was like, are you comfortable if Miles Sanders goes down of what we have? And we all said disagree. So that's another thing that they got to look at when training camp and mini camp starts up is that, the back end of the running backs, right? Can Boston be that number 2? In my eyes, he's not really a number 2 running back. He's more of a number 3 at this point of his career. Maybe a guy like if Freeman, the whole, agent stuff that came out, almost last week now, about Devontae Freeman's agent coming out and said, listen, this dude just wants to play. He doesn't care what team it is. He wants to be on a team before training camp. And, we'll see what happens. But I think if that were to happen, I think Devontae Freeman gets on a team either a couple of days after training camp or right there at training camp to start just because of injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah, and, now that we talk about it going to 80 and things like that, it's going to be very interesting. Teams are trying to figure out what they're doing. So I'm sure there's some teams interested. So, yeah, you're probably right. Like, it'll probably take right up to the wire, but we could probably see him on a team. He wants to play. So his price has probably dropped a little bit. We could hope. That's a name we've talked about over and over again because, nobody feels comfortable. And on a team that's injury riddled, and Miles Sanders was banged up a couple times last year.
I appreciate that.
Hey, Bashir, thanks for tuning in, man. I'm a big fan of Rouse as well. Frank, I'm not a big fan of you. No, I love it, man. Hey, bring it all, man. I appreciate you tuning in, but I don't know about that. I think the Eagles won the division with a lot less, and they added a lot more. Nate, the Cowboys are going to be tough. What's going on, Greg? Don, I saw the comment earlier. Corey Unlin. What a joke. I wanted to choke slam him to a table.
Yeah, have fun
Greg,
with him, Don.
To the poll. Yeah, how about it? I agree to the poll. Greg says, yeah, man, I think it's going to be a tough race with the Cowboys. They definitely got better, but we got a lot better. And we beat them last year. Me and Ralph have been sitting here saying that. Look at what we did with the garbage pail kids. They were trash at wide receiver. There was injuries all over the place. Again, corner, everything. You know how it goes. Well, guess what? We added depth all over the place. We don't know how it's going to pan out. It looks good on paper, but I also agree to the damn poll. We see a couple people out here disagreeing. We got Nate saying the Cowboys. All right. Oh, that's all right. We'll see. Because I think we got a little something for that ass this year. I really think the Eagles are going to surprise a lot of people because Carson Wentz is elite. We've talked about that over and over again. And he showed that with literally throwing 4,000 passing yards without a receiver going over 500. Don't care if you say, well, they had tight ends and running backs. Well, the defense is keyed on them, right? So that's a horrible, horrible excuse. They know all we had was that. So we still got things done. He is the man. Cannot wait to see. These guys got to stay healthy, though. So we keep coming back to that. But every team says that. You know what I mean? It's not – you never know what's going to happen in the NFL. But we love to believe that we're going to be healthy. But, we see a lot of competition on this roster. But what's unfortunate with this, COVID going on, now 7 more of these kids are going to get cut. You saw in the past week, Alex Ellis got cut. That was actually to bring Jason Peters in. But then you saw Khalil Tate get cut, and then it was like, oh, okay. And then Trevor Williams got cut. So we're looking at some of these guys that we think had a chance. Now, I wasn't big on Trevor Williams or anything like that, but there were some people that were, and I understand that. He started a couple games for the Chargers, but I think we have 6 corners that are going to be really competing for a job, probably 5. So, what was that last comment there? Power back? Yeah, man. We're going to talk about the running backs here, and that's one of the things we have talked about over and over again. Who's going to win that job? And Tom was on here and actually talked about how he didn't think we really needed one, and it's a great point. We run a zone offense. We don't necessarily need one, but we did win a Super Bowl with 2 of them. So I like the idea. We have Holyfield. Clement is he can kind of do that work, but Holyfield and Warren. I'm big on Michael Warren, but hey, man, none of these kids are really getting much time. So short time to prove what they've got. Yeah,
it's gonna be really. It sucks for the kids that are in the 2020 draft class and the undrafted free agents because the preseason is what you either sink or you swim, right? For the guys that are drafted and undrafted free, at least in the later rounds, the 4 through 7 guys.
Yeah.
So it kind of sucks that they don't get, they're not going to get that opportunity to showcase themselves in those 4 games, right? Because all you have is the mini camp and the training camp, and then you go right into the NFL season. So it's going to be very interesting to see, what guys from this draft class, just in general, make the team, right? If they're going to keep everybody in the draft class that they drafted and then just work it out next year. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Howie Roseman in the front office does.
For sure. And that was something when I was looking at this roster, it's like, oh, you got 90. Well, you're already cutting down to 10 guys by Tuesday. So I'm looking at these guys and I'm like, are we going to cut some of these draft picks? And it's like some of these young guys, what's going on, Charles? My man Chuck, thanks for tuning in, brother. So one of the things is I had to look at where was, there a plethora of, competition at a position where it's like we were excited to see a lot of these guys like wide receiver, corners. We have a pretty decent amount of both of those. I think some of those guys are never going to get to see the light of day, for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think, guys like a Quez Watkins or, or a John Hightower might be practice squad guys if something happens. I don't think they make the 53 at the end of the day. Whether they are still having the 53, correct? They're not changing that. Okay. So they are still having the 53. I just think that those guys, we never know. Everything's getting changed every single day.
How about it, man?
But for those 2 guys, I think Quez and Hightower, I think they both get on the practice squad, right? Because you got to see what you can get out of Marquise Goodwin, even though, the dude can't stay healthy for the past 2 years now, right? And you got to see, you still have Alshon, you still have D-Jack, you have JJ, you have Jalen Reagor now. So, I mean, that wide receiver core right there is just already a logjam, right? So two of those guys that we drafted this year are obviously going to end up on the practice squad or somewhere else.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you talk about those receivers right there, and then Greg Ward really stepped it up at the end of the year.
And that's another guy that,
brings versatility.
Greg Ward showed that he could play in the NFL, right? And it took the front office, almost the whole entire year to realize, wait, this dude could actually play football. Nice. All right, so come on.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, they give Greg Ward a roster spot because of what he did last year, and that's how the Eagles always worked, right? You perform, and then the next season you get that roster spot, and then if you just fall flat on your face, then then you're either cut or traded away.
Yeah, Matt Collins. Look
at Matt Collins, right? Matt Collins,
I thought he would lose to him last year. I really thought Greg Ward would beat him out. And
that's how the Eagles have always been too. Right?
You knew it, right? I said it. Matt Collins would win.
Yeah, with the whole loyalty factor and the draft and the drafting and stuff like that, right? Because nobody's gonna bite the bullet. Even though he was a 4th round pick, you spent a 4th round pick. I mean, look at what we did with Pumphrey, man, right? Pumphrey stayed 3 years way too long, right? That first preseason game you sold Pumphrey in, he should have never been in Midnight Green ever again. That's just my opinion. Take it how you want.
Too many chances.
Really don't care.
Too many chances.
Too many chances.
Even I gave him too many chances. I was like, all right, here it goes. This is going to be the year that he gets it all again. He sucks. So, yeah, he was horrible. What a waste of a pick.
What up, Travis?
What's going on, Travis? Kayvon Wallace the same. What do you mean with the same? Do I think he's going? I don't think there's any competition.
No, Kayvon Wallace is staying on this team.
Oh, hell yeah. He's got
he's making the 53-man roster. He's got nothing to worry about. In my opinion, I don't think he gets cut. I don't think he goes practice squad. Yep. He stays on this roster. Because if you look at the safety position, right, just in case if one of these corners go down, then you can always have that backup you have that backup and Jalen Mills just to slide in the corner until that corner gets healthy. And then you just have Wallace or Will Parks do the job. But, I mean, I think Wallace makes his team from day one.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, that's a guy that we use a 4th-round draft pick. But like Ralphie said, it doesn't matter. But this guy was a steal of a pick, and he is going to be someone incorporated in this D early and I think could win a starting job eventually. So, and I'm talking, midway through the year here. But he's got guys like Mills and Will Parks. And with Jim Schwartz, I think he's going to use these guys. We talk about the lack of linebackers. Some of these safeties are going to play somewhat of a linebacker role. So we can hopefully look forward to that. But I don't think that Kayvon really has any kind
Philly scored.
Did we?
5-2, baby.
We're coming back.
Hey, dude, the center fielder dropped the ball.
Nice.
Hey, Miami, baby.
No damn time. I was like, when I realized that the first game was tonight, I was like, son of up. I was pissed. But, hey, I told you, I was like, keep me updated, Ralph. I'll keep it going. We'll keep the score going. Apologize to any of you. I'm joking. Don't care to any of you non-Phillies fans. I still love you guys, but we are Philly fans.
Gavin, I agree with that. When we were looking over the schedule, it's like, man, I can't find the loss, right? Every year you look at the schedule, then I can't find enough. Right, but now I think the Eagles, as they're built right now on paper, until we see them on the field. But I'm going off paper right now. I agree. I think 10-6 or 11-5, 10 to 11 wins this year for the Eagles.
A lot of damn hard games, Ralph. So I hear you. And it's like there's some tough stretches too. So it's not just hard games. It's like we're going to be taking some poundings. And I'm excited because someone asked me, they're like, "This is a really hard schedule. What do you think?" I said, I think this is a schedule that builds a champion. If you even if we go 10-6, 11-5, if you make it to the playoffs, you win the division, if you can still get through that season, be healthy, I think if you get some real tough wins, if you lose some close ones, that's all right. You don't want to get blown out. Nobody wants a damn loss, but I'm not saying that. But it's understandable. It happens. It's the NFL. But I think this team
is that going
win up to 12 games. We got another one.
I think it was foul. Oh, Scott Kingery just hooked one left to the foul pole. I thought it was going off the bat. It looked nice.
Look at us. We look like we're in the broadcast crew. If I had the game on, we could sit here. Oh, all right.
I know.
Oh, my God, man.
Look good off the bat. That actually might be a homer.
Is it?
No, it hooked left to the foul pole. Yeah, it hooked left to the foul pole. Damn.
Mother. Well, you know what? I think we're just going to start this bad boy off. I think we're going to start this off with the quarterbacks. I mean, and we're just going to try to breeze through this because we know how we feel. We're pissed off. 53 should have been used on a running back, a linebacker, a center, a corner.
Yeah, something that you could at least do something with your team, right? I mean,
but with what we're at right now, let's just break it down. Let's go through the positions. Let's look at, someone that I don't really feel is on the bubble, but he's going to be a practice squad guy. He's just going to be a training camp body. He's not even going to probably, but Kyle Aletta, you look at, but there's 3 quarterbacks. We're going to keep 3 quarterbacks for this roster, right? I mean, you're looking at Wentz, Hurts, and Sudfeld. I mean, I don't think there's really a question about that. I mean,
Wentz, Hurts, and Sudfeld are going to be your 3, and then I think Kyle is gone, right? Loretta is gone off this roster. You just keep 3, like we always do, and then if you just want to put a quarterback on your practice squad, and just for
and he'll dance like around exactly, or one of those guys we talked about that just happens to get released that they liked, like Tom Jefferson from old BSU. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So. Sorry, but I think that it's something we don't have to break down who we think are going to be the starters and too much about that. But we'll just go through how many we think are going to be kept at that position. Now, running back is something we talk about. an interesting position. How many are we going to keep here? But somebody had mentioned earlier in the show, you got to have a power back. Well, we know we have Miles Sanders and Boston Scott. I think that's it right there. Those are the only two locks right there for you. Other than that, I think everyone else is on the bubble. You look at the other four guys, they're all fighting for a spot, right? It's Clement, Holyfield, and Warren essentially fighting for that tough guy role. But after that, Killins, he's a very intriguing guy. We'd love to see him ball out. He's got a very short amount of time. Hopefully put on the damn muscle. But the kid's fast. He could really, make this offense better. But we'll see if he goes to the practice squad, something like that. But I don't know. What are you seeing out of the running back room? How many do you think we're keeping, and who do you?
We were talking about this a couple of weeks ago as well, too. Of who stays and who goes, and my three were Sanders, Boston Scott, and Corey Clement. Excuse me. Stay with the team. I think Corey just makes his team just from the standpoint of knowing the playbook, knowing the scheme, knowing where to line up. He doesn't have you don't have to wait on him, right? He already knows everything. So he can come in and he already knows everything. So you don't have to wait on that guy.
Loyalty, yeah,
and the loyalty factor as well too, right? Because they could have went a different way, right? They could have never batted an eye at Corey Clement, but they did, right? And that goes back on the loyalty factor of Harry Roseman in the front office to bring them back in. But I think we carry three. But it's going to be interesting to see what we do with the rest of them. If it's practice squad or if it's just straight out cuts.
You don't think I said, you like three. That's right.
I think we roll with three. I mean, as long as I've known Eagles, they've always rolled with at least three running backs on their 53.
Oh, right? For sure.
At least three.
I was looking, and the only thing I just worry because we talk about that injury thing, and that's the only reason I think they probably keep four. So that's where
I agree with that. I think the one if they do
four, Freeman. Then we could just be three, right?
I'm fine with that. With that.
No doubt.
But if they do go with four, I really like Michael Warren, man. I think he makes it, and but the thing is that like I was saying, it's going to be so tough for these guys to shine. Because training camp and mini camp are fine, but you're going up against your teammates who aren't gonna be tackling you like the guys on on other teams, right? So how good can you look when you're not getting tackled or going 100%? So that's going to be the interesting, and this goes for all 30 NFL teams, all 32 football teams this year, because you can't have the joint practices anymore, and you have no preseason. So you really got to dig deep and you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, dude, is this dude even an NFL caliber football player? And you just go off for that. But if I were to keep four, I think Michael Warren makes his team. I really do like that Michael Warren kid from Cincinnati. I really do.
Me too, man. 5'11", 225, little bruiser. But what people don't really realize, I think, I watched a lot of tape on this kid, was he can actually, he's a bruiser and he's not fast at all, but he can catch the ball.
And he's another guy. He's another
touchdowns.
He's another guy. Yeah, he's another guy that can catch the ball in the backfield, and we all know how Doug loves the screen passes. He loves the screens. So if you can just add another guy, what'd you say?
Baby Blunt.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I'd love that, man.
If you can just have another guy that can do that a little bit as your four, and at least get some value out of him, then I'm all for it. But like I said, it's going to be very tough for these guys to show their worth in training camp and mini camp with no preseason.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Now it's like we all talk about the loyalty. Well, one of the other things Howie and the boys like to do is stubbornness. And they like to be stubborn. So maybe they look at it and they're like, well, and there's no preseason. So these guys have no chance to shine, and like you said, they're facing themselves. There's really nothing. It sucks. But you're looking at it, they're like, traded for Holyfield, so maybe we'll keep him instead, because the same argument you make and I make for Michael Warren, I hear the same thing about Elijah Holyfield, or the same thing about Clement. Now, I think it's more Holyfield, Warren fighting for a bruiser back. Clement's more of that jack of all trades kind of guy, and I think that's where he becomes very expendable, versatile. He makes his team because he also signed $850,000 is how much his contract is worth 1 year. And so you're talking under $1 million here? Come on, man. That's very cheap. And I know the younger guys are, but he knows the system, no preseason, all this stuff, So I like your picks there. So It seems that maybe we talked you into 4 there a little bit, but
yeah.
You know, when I talked about my original list, I had 25 guys making on offense. I had 3 quarterbacks and 4 running backs. And then coming up here, talk about 6 receivers. And here's where it got interesting for me because, you know, I have Alshon Jeffrey just to make it easier on myself. I put Alshon Jeffrey on the pup list. That way I can just be like, you know what? I'm giving myself an extra spot here. But it's intense because we finally have some damn receivers. You talk about Deshaun Jackson. You named him earlier. Jackson, Arcega-Whiteside. You know, Goodwin's here to compete. Can't wait to see that. Greg Ward. You're looking at guys that actually become somebody that can compete with, Jalen Reagor. Oh, my Lord. But then at the bottom of the barrel, you're looking at the guys from last year. These are the guys on the bubble. And we talked about this position being probably the one most loaded right now. We got 13 after cutting Khalil Tate. But I think a couple more of these guys could be on that 7 to go before Tuesday. You're looking at guys like Manisha Bailey, undrafted kid that was a linebacker turned receiver, a little bigger. But, you know, same with Rob Davis, Deontay Burnett. They're a little bit bigger, but they never panned out. I think that's going to be a Whiteside.
Yeah, I think, you know, a Burnett, a Davis, you know, guys that just, you know, hate to say it, but the guys that's just a lower tier guys are going to be the first ones to go, right?
Yeah.
But I think, you know, and we were talking about it, you know, while I was, you know, just saying, you know, back then when all this stuff happened and getting closer to training camp into the draft and free agency, I was like, you know, there's going to be a handful of teams out there that are just going to keep guys on their roster that they know the playbook, know the scheme, and you've seen it throughout the league, right? A lot of guys have just stayed because teams are afraid that they didn't know what was going on. So why are you going to bring an outsider in, have a playbook in front of them? Yeah, you can learn the playbook, but once you get on the field, can you produce? When I can have a guy that's been with the team for 2 to 3 years, right, get him back on a cheaper deal that knows their playbook, and I've already seen him on the field, I can do it like that.
Yep. So that's why we talk about those guys probably having a spot. And then, you know, one of the things we definitely should touch on, you know, you had kind of mentioned with the roster being at 53, there was talk that it's going to go from 12 to 16 practice squad players. So a lot more of these guys have an opportunity probably to get on the practice squad. Who knows if they'll be able to lock some of these players, because it's going to be weird with this corona. If somebody gets sick, a lot of bad things could happen. So it's like, we're going to see how many they have.
Interesting.
Yep.
I know they did. I think that I don't know. I was watching ESPN a little bit when I was watching the Mets and Braves game, and at the bottom, I might be wrong, might be right. I don't know. Somebody let me know down in the comments. But they did they had over 10,000 testing for the players, and only 16 came positive, or 12 rookies were positive, came back positive, or something like that.
It was
so at least
only 50 some or something.
Yeah. Out of the large test, which is good, right? Which is good.
It was a small percent. So and they have to quarantine now. So now that they get the people they know have it, they push them out. So they're trying to figure it out. And I mean, these guys got millions of dollars, so you know they're not as risked as we are. You know, they're getting it's ridiculous. And you want that though. We want them to be safe and taken care of. So
listen, take your fucking time with this NFL.
Exactly.
Please. Just take your time with it.
We just want it. Don't mess it up. Please.
There's no rush. No rush with this. Just take your time, baby steps, and just do it the right way. That's all we ask.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we need this back desperately. We all know what it means to us to have sports. So we ask these guys to be smart. We know that you love takeout food. So do we. We've all been doing our part. Just keep doing your part, and let's all just enjoy this time together. Because even though the Phillies were sucking ass earlier, it makes my heart flutter with joy. So I'm very, very happy. But now back to the receivers. You know, how many do you see us keeping when we go into this season?
I think we keep 5. I think we go 5. You know, you have your four in the field, or however you want to put it, and then we just have one on the sideline. That's just going to be my 5.
Let me give you a scenario. Let me give you a scenario. Let's say it's Deshaun Jackson. Let's say that Alshon has to start on the PUP list, because that's going to make it worse for us. Because if he's there, that's beautiful. Then, I probably think 5. But if he's out, do you think we keep 6? And that was something I was thinking about, because you don't have
if he goes PUP list, I say 6. But if he's full to go, ready to go, you go with 5.
Yep.
I think
And
5's
I
the
love
way to
it.
go.
And then the last spot, I love it. I think it's really a battle between Hightower and Watkins. All the other guys we mentioned, they're really just washed up. And not to be rude, but they've had their chances to shine. And we had no other options last year, and they still really didn't shine. So you know how that goes. But Goodwin's here, a lot of speedsters. So hopefully these guys stay healthy. So probably 5 or 6. I had 6 with him going on the pup. So, yeah, love it. But I definitely think some of these guys aren't even going to get a chance, and that's unfortunate.
It is. It does suck. It does suck because, we drafted some of these guys that are like, okay, maybe this dude can make it. He's got some speed because all the guys that we drafted last in the 4 through 7s are like speed. And then you might not even see the guys that we drafted with the speed, right? Because it just sucks. It just sucks. But hey, you know what? I'm not going to complain. We're getting football back. Sports are back. But like I said, NFL, take your fucking time with it, please. That's all. That's all I ask.
And if you got to cut extra players, do it.
Yeah.
And first they were saying 75, and I was like, you know what? I understand it, man, because you're going to cut to 53 anyway. So why risk it? But then you look at the other side, you're like, damn, these dudes don't even get a chance to walk in the effing building, and they're just going to get the call. That sucks.
It does.
And but now now. Let's talk about this for a second, because the tight end position last year, even when we were dealing with injuries, the Eagles like to dance around and keep 2 tight ends on the roster for some reason, and then they would bring somebody up for the practice squad. They were dancing every week with Alex Ellis, Josh Perkins. They kept just doing wild things.
Up and down, one's dressing, one's not dressing.
Yep. So this year, what are you thinking with this now? The rule is one of the things I think they could definitely change it, guys. So as of right now, where it stands, we have 53 on your roster, but when it comes to game day, you go up to 55. You're allowed to add 2 guys from your practice squad. Now, one of them has to be an offensive lineman. The other could definitely be a tight end for us because we like to dance with that. Now, do you see us playing that game a lot, or do you see us finally utilizing a 3 tight end set where we keep a guy like Perkins, or maybe that tight end Noah Tagai, who seems to be a very athletic kid, but with no preseason, we have no idea.
Yeah.
So,
well, with the tight end situation, yet again, I'm going to go with Perkins just because he's been in the building. He knows what he's doing. And yeah, I know that one rule with the whole, you can carry 2, but one, the one offensive lineman and stuff like that. And then the other option is you can do whatever you want, right? On that second option, right?
Yep.
So you can carry a tight end, wide receiver, whatever you want to do.
Linebacker.
But yeah, I think the tight ends right now are what they were last year. You got Perkins, you have Goddard, and then you have Ertz as your number 1. So I think that's what they do for this year as well. Because you cut Alex Ellis, right? So that's another tight end. You're not going to cut Josh Perkins. Now you're only down to 2.
God,
and we all know how the Eagles are with injury rate, right? Yep. So one tight end goes down. You're just going to sign one of them back anyway, so just keep them on your roster.
Do you remember last year? Okay, so Ertz was getting banged up. Goddard was getting banged up. Our wide receivers were so banged up that Josh Perkins was lining up as a wide receiver.
I remember. I think it was later on in the season last year that there was rumors going around during practices. They actually had, because Josh McCown actually played wide receiver with Detroit that one game.
Yeah, I remember.
He at one point in practice, he was lining up to playing wide receiver during practice.
Things were bad.
Because that's how bad it was last year.
Yep. So don't do that again.
And that makes another case for Carson Wentz, right? People harp on him, the negativity and stuff like that. But it's never about stats, right? It's never about stats with Carson Wentz, the negativity. It's all about, can he stay healthy on the field and other stuff like that.
And he's only missed 8 games in his 4 years. And he's been healthy 2 out of 4. Bullshit, man.
Yeah. But it just goes to show what Carson Wentz was dealing with, and he overcame it, and he led this football team to the playoffs. It just sucked how it happened in the playoffs, right? He finally gets there. We waited, right? We were so pumped up for this kid to get his first playoff taste, and then that happens. What happens with clowning? So, listen, it sucks, but what he did in those last 4 games of the year is something special. Something special. I will never forget it, because we sat here multiple times on the airways saying, what other quarterbacks could we see doing that, right? With slop. Dude. Slop at your wide receivers. Nobody's, Jimmy. Nobody. Okay?
It was me and you out there, brother.
You had 3 undrafted guys as your 1, your 2, and your 3. and then a rookie as your 4.
Oh, it was so bad.
And you won 4 games in a row, dude. 4 games in a row.
I cannot believe to this day that he did that. And, it was tough divisional battles, man. Like those Giants and Cowboys games, and
they're nothing. Listen, no matter as much as I harp on and I say the Giants stink and Washington stinks and Dallas stinks, no matter what, they're always tough games to win.
Always. How about it, Ralphie?
If the Giants are 2-14, or if Washington's 1-15,
it's scarier.
Yeah, because you play them at the end of the year and they're out of the playoffs. It's like, what do they have to lose, right?
Yep, exactly.
And that's why the Giants game was in a loop. Because we were when we were in New York or New Jersey. Matter of fact, they don't even play New York. It was a back and forth game, and then the Washington game, right?
Give me a heart attack, dude.
Took the last 15 seconds of the game to win it. So no matter what the record says, those divisional games are just the toughest ones to win.
And that's how I always feel about it. It's like I literally, and even when they have bad records, that's what scares me more. And every week that I know it's that week, I'm like, oh, Redskins, oh, Giants. It gives me anxiety more than any other game, just because it's going to be a slobber knocker. And I love that. We have one of the best divisions of football. Even the fans, it's intense.
Justin, I'm right with you, brother. I'm right with you. And that the defense didn't show up in my
horrible, man.
The defense didn't show. You made Ryan
Fitzpatrick ate us alive.
You made Ryan Fitzpatrick look like Joe Montana that day. There's no excuse. No excuse. How was Ronald Darby that game? Made Devontae Parker.
So glad he's on a Washington football team player.
Yeah, made Devontae Parker look like Randy Moss that game. It was insane. It was disgusting. Right after that game, I thought we weren't making the playoffs, Jimmy. I thought the season was done. I didn't think we were going anywhere because that's a bad loss. And they were a terrible football team at that point.
That trick play, I was like, shoot me in the face. Yeah, after the trick play.
The fake field goal.
Oh, that made me sick. It was so bad.
Gavin, I totally agree. Division games are always close, no matter what the record
says. I love them, though. I do love them. I love getting to go in person. It's the ones I feel like I'm going to die while I'm there. I love every damn second.
The funny thing is, Gavin, too, not the when we were playing the Giants in MetLife, when they came here to Philly in that Monday night game when Eli started, and Eli's dicing us up. I'm like, okay, so this is how it's going to go out, huh? This is how Eli is going to go out. Right? He's going to win the game, and we're never going to hear the end of it, right? Because this is how he's going to go out. But thank God, Sidney Jones came to play the last handful of plays at the end and won us that ball game. The slant over the middle, batted that baby down. I can't wait.
Hell yeah.
Real quick, Jimmy, I just got to go to the bathroom real quick. All right, buddy?
Yeah, go right ahead.
1 second.
I see the comments popping up right here. Washington football team. That's right, Gavin. What? You got 10 days to come up with a name. And you came up with, well, guys, we really thought long and hard. The Washington football team. You kidding me? You're kidding me. I mean, whatever. But let them continue to be one of the worst organizations I have ever seen. And Dan Snyder's a jackass. And obviously we're finding out he's more of a jackass than we ever thought. But definitely when it comes to football. And in personal life, seems to be a jackass there too. I'm sorry, guys. I can't control these questions. I can't come over here and try to see them flying up here. But I will not be able to put them up on the screen until he comes back. Last Giants games, yep. Can't wait to see Rieger. Let me tell you something, Charles. I got to do a little breakdown video a month before the draft. I got to pick a receiver I thought the Eagles would like to have on their team. I said with the 21st pick, I thought the Eagles should take Jalen Rieger. And I only feel that way. And this is a great conversation to have because, and I love it. It's agree to disagree here, guys. And, Tom and a couple of the other guys have every right to question, what happened in that draft because you waste a second pick. You could have used him. You could have traded up for Lamb. You could have traded up for Judy. We hope, we think, we can talk about all we want. It's over now. But I will tell you, I love Jalen Rieger. So go ahead and write that down. I love Jalen Rieger, and I think he is going to go off this year. I think him and Carson are going to grow to be one of the best combos that the Eagles have ever seen. I think it's going to be, McNabb and Jackson, but better. Well, McNabb and Jackson weren't really together that long. Vic and Jackson were pretty nice together. But I will tell you, I think Carson Wentz is going to have himself a fantastic year because we talked about all those receivers, tight ends, running backs. Look at all the weapons. Now, sure, we're going to talk about the offensive line when Ralphie comes back, but there's question marks there for sure. There was question marks before Brooks got hurt with obviously Dillard, but I love Dillard. Ralphie actually loves Dillard, but there's definitely some question marks. That's why we talked about Peters coming back. So Peters being here, I love it. Just in case anything were to happen, he provides depth to the tackle position and the guard position. Obviously, he's starting there, but in case anything can happen, you can move guys around. I love that. Don't forget about the penalties. Man, I think that's one of the things I talked about, Justin, and it's funny as it is, it's a great point. He had 9 false start penalties, I believe, last year, Jason Peters. He's going to be going to the right side now. Muscle memory, completely different thing. And he's going inside the guard. That's the guy that's got to relay to the center what's going on and talk to the quarterback, So he has a whole new job. But I think anybody that can handle it, it's him. And he's going to be between Kelsey and Lane Johnson. So, but he's learning a new position. So we got to watch out for those false start penalties, correct? So great point, Justin. But something I'm afraid of, but say he's not working out there. Well, you got guys like Matt Pryor and Driscoll. You give them time to actually learn, see what they've got. Maybe they move in. And then, if Dillard's doing fine, which I think he will, then you're good there. And you still have depth. Someone like Peters, but you still made him happy. You called him a starter. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, right? I'm not too worried about it. This is the move we wanted to happen. I just didn't know they were going to put him in the right guard, right? So wild. Would I trade for Jamal? I would love to have Jamal Adams, Justin. I think Jamal Adams is one of the premier safeties in the league. You look at, him. And Derwin James is also another guy that, one of the younger guys. Sure, there's some bigger names out there, but those two are going to be for the next 10, 15 years, the elite safeties of this league. And, I wish we had one of those guys on our team. I grew up watching Brian Dawkins, so I was spoiled, and I wish we had someone like that, but we were lucky enough to have Malcolm Jenkins, right? So now we got rid of him. That sucks. Guy that played 99% of our damn snaps, almost 100% pretty much, playing special teams, all that. He went all out. You got to love that guy. But we added a bunch of safeties there. So I don't think safety position that they're going to make a big move for unless the Jets really liked, some of the players we had. Kayvon Wallace maybe, but I would trade him if that's who they wanted to get, Jamal Adams. I like Kayvon Wallace, but let's get real here, guys. We are talking about Jamal Adams. He is fantastic. I wish we had him on our defense, but I don't think that's a move we're going to make. Look at what's going on, guys. One of the things I was going to talk about, I might as well break into it right now while he's out. We'll talk about the cap. We're $50 million over next year, right? It's scary. Well, now they just agreed on it's not $70 million they're taking away next year. So they've spread it out over 4 years, but they're talking about they could be taking up to $23 million from the cap. So now we could be at $74 million over the cap. Now, sure, there's some veterans we could cut. We talked about Jeffrey, Jackson, things like that. But, oh, dear Lord, things are definitely going to be interesting. But I don't think you're going to be making a trade for a guy that's going to want even more money. You know what I mean? I understand how he's the fandangler and he can figure all that stuff out, but I just don't feel that that's a move we're going to make. I don't think we're going to be giving up any of our draft capital, but I would. If you can figure it out, I would definitely do it, Justin. He's Jamal Adams, and could you imagine this defense? But you also have to keep in mind they would want a trade of some sorts for probably something in return. You don't want to be without a safety, I don't think anything really on their roster stands out. We've got a couple of good ones. Not sure if they trade Mills or McLeod or, if someone was interested. Like I said, I doubt Will Parks would really tickle their fancy. I'm excited about the kid, but I don't think he's going to be trade bait. Maybe someone like Kayvon, like I said, is bait to give you something. But that's just added on to some higher picks, But yeah, man, I'd love to have Jamal Adams. My Lord, would I love to have Jamal Adams. Yeah, but I don't think that's a move we're going to make. I think he'll be a Jet. He's just, pissed off, and it is what it is, but they don't have to trade him. But once again, we always come back to, we have Howie Roseman, right? And I remember when we traded for Jay Ajayi that year, it was just like, my God, because, we had added some players for free agency. I was pumped about things, but that move I thought was a great move. So, hey, never sleep on him. And if the season starts and things are, they're disgruntled and things are going on and that salary cap thing we talked about, hey, maybe we make a move like that. But I don't see it, but you never know. You never know. Yeah. Cosmos, let me tell you something. We did take a Jalen. We took Jalen Reagor. Told you I'm pumped about that. And then we took Jalen Hurts. Man, I'm telling you, I was ready to jump through a wall, not in excitement, out of pure anger. I wanted to lose my mind. I got to be on a draft party, and I was talking about how, I thought it would be this guy, that guy. We talked about Christian Fulton was there, Christian Berry was there. We had so many names. Logan Wilson, there were so many names. And then they take a quarterback. I literally quarterback factory, right? I thought Sudfeld was fine as a backup. Like, what the? I thought everything was fine, and we needed depth at places, and there were a lot of really good players. J.K. Dobbins was there. You did not take him. Jeremy Chin was there. It really it baffled me. And when someone actually I don't know who they had telling them, but they found out like a good 5 minutes before the pick was actually made, and they said about us picking him. I'm like, yeah, okay, like we take a quarterback. And then when we did, and I was like, oh yeah, quarterback. I mean, you can't harp on it, man. I mean, it is what it is, right? We have Jalen Hurts as our backup quarterback now. Yay! Hey, I hope the best for the kid. I was hoping he would go to a team and go play somewhere. He's a good kid, good in the locker room. So I hope the best for him. I hope that he becomes good trade bait. Something happens. I don't want anyone to get hurt, but if somebody needs a quarterback, hopefully we can figure something out. But for now, he's ours for the next year or two. Yeah. We're a quarterback factory, guys. We didn't know. We didn't get the memo till that day, but now we know. Kyle Lauletta, Nate Sudfeld, Jalen Hurts, and Carson Wentz. I love Carson Wentz, so just going to have another full year healthy, and then he's going to go throughout the playoffs healthy for the first time. He's going to get over that obstacle next. So excited for this year with all the receivers that we have. Speed everywhere. Jalen Reagor, Marquise Goodwin, Deshaun Jackson. Then you look at the guys on the roster bubble, John Hightower, Quez Watkins. I think those guys have a great chance to make the team, but also a great chance to make the practice squad. Really depends on what happens with Alshon Jeffrey, as we were just talking about, But high possibility that he ends up on the PUP list just because we don't know how well he's really doing. Talked about him. Oh, it could be coming back to running a couple weeks ago. Well, I haven't heard anything since. So, fantastic. Would love to see him running, but if he's not even running yet, I really don't know if he's going to be ready. And I'd like to see some of these guys get a chance. But as Ralphie had mentioned, and as I've been mentioning for months, Alshon Jeffrey would be great healthy in this offense, right? Look at all the things that are going to open up for everybody. Everybody's going to get their share, man. It is going to be fantastic because we've got speed in the receivers that we just talked about there. But look at the other guys. You have a slot guy in Greg Ward. You're going to have people competing with him. And you look at the big guy, Alshon Jeffrey. It's going to open things up for him. We obviously know tight ends are going to eat Goddard and Ertz. Woo. Josh Perkins possibly as well. But it's also going to open up the run game. We talk about all of these things, and it's going to be fantastic to see. I really can't. I can't wait. And Reagor, man, I love that, whoever brought him up. Charles Pop, dude, Reagor is and now some of you guys are not going to see these comments because I've got one on Periscope, one on Facebook, one on YouTube. Yeah, so I'll try to read these off to you guys. My apologies. Now, Now, Ralph's not here yet. Jimmy, what quarterbacks do you look forward to playing against Russell or Lamar? I don't look forward to either of them, man. We definitely have our struggles against mobile quarterbacks. So, hey, one thing I do like, and I've talked about over and over again was, and this isn't why we drafted him, but you got a guy like Jalen Hurts in your practice, you're going to use him. He's going to play the role of Russell Wilson. He's going to play the role of Lamar Jackson. So you're going to have a guy that's just like them, and I'm not saying he's that good, but he can play the role, man, a lot better than Nate Sudfeld would or Kyle Lauletta, right? So I guess it's a plus in that, right? So, and like I said, he's a good locker room kid, and I think, he's really going to add to this team. So he's a Philadelphia Eagle now. I'm not trying to badmouth the kid. I hope the best for him, and I hope he comes out and whoops some ass. Now, I think we overrated Kayvon. I don't think so at all, Gavin. Now, Gavin says here that he thinks we overrated Kayvon Wallace. I don't think so. I think the kid was a steal of a draft pick. There was talks that he'd go in the third. I heard some people say maybe the second, but I don't see that. Maybe the third, but dropped to us in the fourth. I think he was a steal. I understand some people are overrating him if that's the route you're going, but that's because, he was roommates with Brian Dawkins' son and went to Clemson, and now he's got Wolverine cleats. He's kind of doing it to himself. But, right when he came out, he's like, I don't want to be compared to him. And even Dawkins said, don't compare this kid. We don't want to blah, blah, blah. Well, that's fantastic. It's already happening. It is what it is. But I think that, Kayvon Wallace is a stud. And we talk about Malcolm Jenkins, how much of an impact he had, 99.9% of the snaps. He was, oh, my God, the guy was fantastic. Loved him. The best thing we've had since Brian Dawkins. But you add three guys to try to fill that role. You finally move Jalen Mills. We talk about this all the time. Move him back to a position where I feel, he should have been playing for years and years and years when we talk about it over and over again. But he's finally there, right? And Will Park's a Philly kid that comes back and, to his hometown. And I think he's really trying to show that he's a versatile guy. He's playing that role that I talked about, some of those sub packages where you're going to see him line up as a linebacker. So I'm excited about him. I'm excited about Kayvon. I'm excited about the safeties. Brought Rodney McLeod back. You talk about the lower end. We'll get to the defense there, but we'll see. That means Dallas can't sign them. Oh, dude, I don't want Dallas to trade for Jamal Adams or anybody. Oh, man, they already – I'll be real with you, man. Dallas definitely they got a lot better. Corners, receivers, they definitely added to their already good team. So it's going to be a battle, for the East. I know some of you guys agreed. I saw a couple disagrees out there. I see you. I do not control the things that go up on this board here, though. But, I try to answer as many things as I can. Like I said, I can try to come over here and look at them right now. Obviously, I have to. But what's going on, Brian? Thanks for tuning in, brother. Hockey will be coming back. All these things will be coming back. It's been such joyous days just watching the Phillies and the Sixers. Today was, I cannot wait. Got Mr. Rusty here. Eagles are junk. Too many receiver issues. Not at all. That's one of the areas we fixed. I still can't believe how well we did. I still can't believe it. And, without that cheap shot, we never know how well we would have done. And you can't use injuries as an excuse, but obviously you lose your fantastic quarterback that threw for over 4,000 yards without a receiver going for over 500 yards. Pretty phenomenal. So we went ahead and added receiver after receiver after receiver. Gave ourselves 13 guys right now. We had 14, cut Khalil Tate just because of all the injuries, all that stuff. But we've got 13 guys that are going to compete. Some of these guys aren't even going to be able to show up, though, just because of all those things. But you talk about Alshon Jeffrey being banged up for the beginning of the season, Mr. Rusty. So I understand what you're saying. But the receiving core was Deontay Burnett, Rob Davis, Shelton Gibson, Marcus Green. You're looking at Scrub-a-dub-dub. And I'm sorry, guys. I know you're Eagles. I love all my birds, but damn,
all right, I'm back.
Good. What's going on, Ralphie?
God, dude, I had wings. I had wings for dinner tonight. They ain't sitting right with my stomach. I'll tell you that.
You're watching Phillies. You don't have to lie to us. I know what you're doing. But Mr. Rush is here. I've been taken care of. I got all these questions answered here. Brian says, what's up? But Mr. Rusty, we're talking here about the injuries to the receiving corps. But, we're hoping for these young guys to step up. And, yeah, we do have some older guys. And we have to hold on to health, man. That's why we brought in a new medical staff. So we're doing what we can, man. Doing what we can.
Yeah. Yeah, going back on the receiving corps, before we left, you asked me the question, they gave me the scenario of, if Alshon is on PUP and if he's not on PUP to start the year, do we carry 5 or 6? I'm still gonna say 5, no matter what. But if he is on the PUP, then I think we go 6 just to give us more flexibility. But once he comes back, I think it goes back to 5.
Exactly.
And then obviously the tight end situation, you carry your 3, you carry your Perkins, your Goddard, and then your Ertz, and then that's pretty much it.
Yep, exactly. And that's it right there. With Jeffrey, if you're looking at him on the PUP, then you got 6 because you got questions. But if he's there, then it's pretty locked in, and those guys by that time will have to, figure it out at the bottom of the barrel.
If you look at the wide receiver core right now, Jimmy, right? It just say everybody's healthy, right? You're gonna play majority of the snaps are gonna go obviously to Alshon, to Deshaun, to Jalen Reagor, and then your fourth guy's got to be JJ, right? Whether you like it or not, JJ has to be on the field because you spent a 2nd-round pick on him.
Yeah, I have faith.
So those 4 guys right there are your locked receivers right now.
Yep.
And then your 5 is going to be the fight for the death, right?
Yep.
Your Greg Ward, your Quez Watkins, your John Hightowers, and other players like that. And Marquise Goodwin and stuff like that.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that 5th spot and who they give it to at the end of the day. Because if you look at it, a lot of guys on A2D are saying, you gave up Marquise Goodwin for nothing, right? So at the end of the day, if he's not panning out to anything that you hope for him to be, if he's banged up again during training camp and mini camp, like you just said, you didn't give up anything for him. All you did was swap picks and you got Marquise Goodwin, right? He could be a camp body, right? And you just keep him there. And you could just be like an Orlando Scandrick type of thing where, okay, if one of our guys goes down, we'll have a promise with you. If one of our guys goes down, you can come back in. Type of thing.
We do that a lot with players the past few years because they had so many damn injuries.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I agree with you, and, there's going to be a battle there because we don't know what the hell is going on. It's going to be slim pickings here with no preseason. No, he's not going to be Aguilar, dude. He's a completely different receiver. Completely different because Nelson Aguilar is really a slot receiver and Jalen Reagor is definitely a Z receiver. He is going to be used in motion. He's going to be running the ball, returning the ball. He's going to be fantastic. I hope.
And that's another thing too is that, as much as Nelson got crushed here in this city for, those 2 bad years he had, his rookie year, sophomore year were horrible.
He helped us win a Super Bowl, though, man.
2017, it was like, okay, maybe this is the dude we select in the 1st round. Like, this is the guy we watched at USC. He's running on the correct routes. He's catching everything that's thrown to him.
Yep.
And then it's like he got to the point where he was great with the fans. Everybody loved him. And then 2018 and 2019 last year came, and it's back to Nelson Aguilar.
Ralphie.
And to be honest too, Nelson at the beginning of his career, they put him on the outside majority of the time, and like you just said, USC, he was slot. Loved the slot. He stayed in the slot. So, and Jalen Reagor is definitely a different wide receiver. I don't think he's going to be a Nelson Aguilar, and I pray to God he's not going to be a Nelson Aguilar.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Yeah.
But I like what you said there. In 17, I got a lot of slack for believing in Aguilar myself. And, that's one of those things kind of like with, you got to give some people a little bit of time. And that was the year where he was really stepping it up. And I think people, sometimes when have you ever said something like, oh, I like that guy. And this is my older brother for me. He's like, I said like, oh, I like Aguilar. I think he's going to have a great, year this year. But oh, and I didn't even say it like, oh, this is my sleeper pick. And every week, oh, that's your boy. And it's just like, dude, all I said. So thank God in 17 he had a good year. And I was like, oh, I don't have to hear anything. Wow. Damn well the last 2 years. Oh, what happened to your boy?
is that 2-17 where, Alshon essentially took the spotlight away from Nelson Aguilar, right?
Made it easier for him,
Nelson Aguilar, 2015 and 2016, the spotlight was on him, and it was the brightest light when he was in that stadium. It was all eyes on Nelson Aguilar. 2017, you get Alshon Jeffrey, who was at that time a star in the league, and you can make a case that he's still a star in this league now. But at that time in 2017, the dude was amazing, right? Took the spotlight away from Nelson, and he could do whatever he wanted, right? He got away with a couple more things, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and he added another veteran like Torrey Smith, a guy that you could take the top off the defense. So you have Nelson that, could do the little drag routes and the little, sit down underneath the zones and just catch the ball and just do whatever he wants to do because the spotlight wasn't on him. And then you saw 2018, right, when the spotlight somewhat got back on Nelson Aguilar because Alshon wasn't there to start the year. So it was basically Nelson was essentially at that time the number one wide receiver in 2018, and he went back downhill. Right, he became the Nelson Aguilar of 2015 and 16.
Yep, exactly. And it's tough to watch that happen because of injury. And you, like you said, you put it in the context right there. It's like he's not a number one receiver. That's not the guy you see there, but he's the best you had. So are you putting Shelton Gibbs in there? No, you're not.
And don't forget about in 2018 it got to the point as well. When you got to bring Jordan Matthews back.
Yeah, man. Oh, good point.
And Jimmy, that wasn't even like week 13, pick him up and we'll see what he does to help us out. That was week 3, week 4.
Oh, my God.
Okay? Jordan Matthews was playing week 4 against Tennessee. Remember he caught that touchdown pass over the middle by Carson Wentz?
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Yeah, you can find another guy that had trouble catching the ball here in Philly was Jordan Matthews.
Yep, stone hands. But it's been bad, so – I love the fact that we added so many receivers because it's like, look, man, if we stay healthy, you talk about 17, how Jeffrey made things easier for Aguilar. Look at Deshaun Jackson is a much better upgrade than Torrey Smith. No hate to Torrey Smith. I love what he did.
Absolutely.
But if he's healthy, imagine what it's going to open up for Rieger, for Ward, for anybody who makes the team,
And you saw too last year, week 1 against Washington.
Yep.
Deshaun was healthy, right?
Exactly.
I mean, we all waited for the deep pass to Deshaun, and we finally got it, right? And then another one came, and another one came. It was amazing because that's the Deshaun that we knew. But then the injuries crept in,
dude.
Yet again for Deshaun. But
what was that?
But yet again for Deshaun Jackson, that's been his MO for the past, I hate to say, 4 to 5 years now. Ever since he went back, ever since he went to Tampa Bay, he couldn't stay healthy for them. Never could. He was always on the injured list before every game.
Yep, and we talk about this. When Doug said like, "Well, Rieger's going to come in and learn under," and it's like, dude, honestly, that kid will be playing in no time because the fact of the matter is, Deshaun Jackson does not stay healthy, and we know that. But at least now we have some damn depth behind him. So. Which
is nice.
Thank God. Because that's the thing, and people always complain about everything, but it's like, at least we have some people to fall back on. And, we have an expanded practice squad, so we're going to, have some options if there are injuries that aren't so terrible. And sure, it's going to be sloppier because we didn't have an off season, but that's for every damn team, so that's where you're going to have to see some of these guys maybe adding, that we've talked about. If you guys have noticed, there's a theme going on here at running back, receiver, tight. It all really depends on who's injured, who's not, and are we keeping an extra because of this or that? Are we bringing in a Devontae Freeman that we need to keep 3 running backs for 4?
I also hated last year, too, about, just the people outside that were like, well, my team's banged up. We got injuries on my team. Look at this team. They're banged up. But it's like, dude. Look at the stuff that's getting injured though. You're losing your number 1 wide receiver. You're losing your number 2 wide receiver, and at some time you just lost your number 3 wide receiver at the end of the year. Yeah. So now your franchise quarterback is throwing at practice squad guys. Okay,
let's see the value of the player exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to hear that. Oh, look at this NFL team that was banged up here and banged. I don't care about that. The Eagles had more adversity than any team in the NFL this year. More. Injury-wise.
Exactly. It was brutal. And what's crazy is in 17, we had the same thing. We had all of our leaders, special teams, defense, offense. Right. Peters was out, Marigo, Sproul. It was like, what the?
Basically, almost every captain in that 2017 team was injured.
Everybody. And literally, we dealt with it, and we snuck in 18. We snuck in again last year. It's like, hey, we got a versatile team, but I think, other than the damn second-round pick, we know we added depth. So, I mean, it is exciting. But before anyone gets too excited, we keep saying, take it all with a grain of salt. It's all on paper, okay? We're waiting to see what we got here. And also, before anyone loses their mind, think about this. Everyone complains about the preseason. That's the time to knock off the rust. So you're going to see some sloppiness starting the season, especially against.
You know what, Jimmy? And that's another thing too, right? Because you heard it through week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Is that maybe you should have given some of your starters preseason time here, Doug? Right? Because remember that was a thing. Clark wasn't playing preseason. They wanted to be safe. Fletcher Cox played like 2 snaps in preseason, not really anything. Alshon was out. Deshaun played here only like 1 snap in the preseason. So none of these guys got any preseason play. And then you saw what happened on the field. But listen, it goes for every team now this year, right? So you're going to see a lot of rust from these NFL guys when the regular season comes because there's no preseason, right? You can only practice against your teammates for so long that it's just going to, come familiar with everybody.
Yep, exactly. And it's scary. It's scary because a lot of these young guys don't get the chance. There's going to be a lot of things not gelling. It's going to be all over the place. So everybody, don't lose your minds this year. Just don't lose your minds.
Yeah.
Now, the offensive line, this is a very intriguing one because we talked about earlier, how you're allowed an additional 2 people to be added to the roster. It could be more, but at this point, it's 55 on game day. Only 48 can dress. But, one of them has to be a lineman. So a lot of times you think 10 linemen you probably keep, going throughout the whole line. But maybe this year we could keep 9 because sometimes we've done it. And this year you could definitely do it because every week you could definitely bring one up anyway. So I have us keeping 4 tackles, 4 guards, and 1 center. I apologize. And that keeps us at 9. And I think you could bring a guy like Nate Urbick up every week. But, what are you looking at from the outside? What are you looking at here? I think we keep our draft picks, right? But looking at the bubble guys, Mailata, that's a guy. Casey Tucker was brought back this year.
That's another guy that, man, it's a great story, right? It's a good story. Coming from Australia, played rugby his whole life. And I forget there was an article about it 2 weeks or 3 weeks after we drafted him, and it was starting up the mini camp and training camp, and it was the one guy from the 49ers who also played who played rugby in Australia, came over, and it was the punt returner for the 49ers. I forget what his name was.
Yeah, I know you're talking about that.
He told him a lot of dude, listen, rugby and the NFL is a totally different worlds. The playbook, the schemes, and stuff like that, and you see it so far where you think Mailata could be at least a backup, right? Everybody was piping him up. Oh my God, we got a 6'7" left tackle, right tackle backup. He could play anywhere, and the dude can't find a spot. So I would not be shocked if he's one of the odd men out on the offensive line when cuts come again.
Exactly. And you're looking at it, we actually drafted some depth, and these are guys that are all versatile. So you're looking at Driscoll, Prince Tega-Winogo, but now Mailata got some issues here because you brought Jason Peters back. So he also provides depth at that tackle position if anything were to happen. So that gives another tackle probably less hope. Matt Pryor also provides depth now at guard and tackle because he's not a starter. So you've got guys that are versatile. Unfortunately, Mailata, you're not very versatile. I don't think you are, at least. But, hey, maybe he surprises us. But he's on the outside looking in at this point. And that's unfortunate. Love the story, like you said. It's beautiful to see that stuff. But I'm not sure it's going to happen. If it is, you better do it right now, young man. Other than him, even Casey Tucker, he was brought back. I know Don, one of the guys that watches here, he's a big Lions fan. Casey Tucker went there last year and he actually played guard. So, once again, you got yourself versatile guys. So, there's going to be a little competition. But, he's got more experience actually playing, but no, not starting, but actually playing the damn game in college, But Opeta, another name, Render was just let go the other day. Keegan Render. I thought Nate Erbig was the better choice, a guy that can play guard and center. I see him playing a lot of practice squad dancing this year.
You know what? I see that. I think the Eagles are going to, majority of the time, are going to do that just because of how from works here in Philly, where your offensive line gets banged up, right? I think they'll keep a guy that's more flexible than a guy that can just play left tackle, right?
Oh yeah.
Or you'll obviously keep a guy that can play guard and center or guard and tackle over a guy that just plays one position on the offensive line, because you can keep the guy that's more flexible, just works out better in those ways.
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly right, Ralph. That's something we talk about week in and week out. If you are versatile, you are definitely going to find your way onto this team. If you can help out in other areas, if you are a multi-position player, return game, special teams, all that good stuff, you're going to make the team. So, in my Lada, if you're just, hey, great story, wonderful, dude. At this point, sorry, brother, but I think you got to go. And, everyone talked about the trickery and all this stuff. Now, maybe we did have plans for that last year, but then the guy gets hurt. So it's like you can only dance for so long. I saw Michael said here in the comments, we had a running game back then. Yeah, you know what? We did. We had Blunt and Ajayi, and that's what me and Ralph were talking about. A guy like Michael Warren, I think he would do well on this team. I think having that little bruiser every now and again for certain plays would do this team well. Plus, he has that versatility that we talked about. He can catch the ball. So, very intriguing to see what we do with the running backs. But, like Michael also said, run the ball. I don't know how many weeks, week in, week out, I had to just sit there and say, run the ball, because I can't take it. Because we had Jordan Howard, right? Now we don't. We got Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, and hopefully we had Devontae Freeman. I know, did you see Jalen Mills had said something today about LaShawn McCoy, like, come on home, get a championship. I don't know, brother. I'm not so sure I want McCoy back, but
I mean, if McCoy was still the McCoy
5 years ago,
then I'm all for it. But I mean, the dude went to Kansas City with Andy and didn't even sniff the starting lineup in the last 5 games of the year.
So benched in the Super Bowl, bro. Didn't even get shirt, man. He didn't even dress up, man. Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, that should. I mean, if Andy can't help you, nobody can help you, right?
Exactly, man. And he tried.
It's almost like the old the old Patriots saying, right? If you go to the guys that are need help, go to the Patriots, right? If the Patriots release you, nobody can help you.
Yeah, no doubt. Exactly. And, you look at a guy like him, though, coming in, it's like that's the same damn runner almost as Miles Sanders. Sure, he dances a lot more, and sure, Miles isn't as proven as he was when he was younger. But it's like, what do we need that for? In that case, you're bringing him in just in case something happens. I think Devontae Freeman is somebody that gives you a few snaps, and if something happens, he takes over. So I feel that that's a better choice. I just really do. And he's a power back in my mind. He really is, more than what people think. He's not a power back, but the guy actually runs between the tackles pretty well, more than most think, I believe. So he's a guy that I think would fit this system well, can catch the ball, run the ball. So we'll see. But back to that. What are you looking at? You think that's probably you think we probably dance with 9 this time around? Because
I agree with you. I agree with you. I don't think you need another center. Like I said, I think they're going to keep a guy that's flexible, that can play guard and center, or tackle and center, or tackle and guard. However you want to phrase it. Yeah. But I agree with the 9. I agree with your point with keeping the 9 guys on the offensive line.
Yeah, and, there's not much actually behind the depth other than the guys you really know who are probably going to make the team. You look at the guys like we talked about, Opeta, Luke Uriah was undrafted guy we brought in, guys that could probably dance on the practice squad for a little, but not going to make the team. So probably you could do that with the 9. So pretty cool rule to help out there. So you're not just wasting a spot. And it's not that it's a waste, but these guys don't play snaps like other positions do. They're getting, trying to get a breather. Usually the linemen play, the entire game. Yeah. And sometimes people get, the swing tackle or something like that come in, but it's not much. Now, I love that. We pretty much almost agreed on everything on the offense. So I think it was, 25 I had. So there's 25 there at offense. So now you're looking at 25 on defense. So what I had was, now this one's a tough one for me. 6 defensive ends. And the only reason I say that is because a couple unprovens behind, and I'm not even saying Derek Barnett's proven, but, we know that Graham and Barnett are our starters. I love Sweat and Avery, but behind that 4, it's, Joel Osman. They were pumping him up last year. Then he gets hurt. We brought in Casey Toohill. Looks good on tape, but it's like, who knows with that kid? He's our last draft pick,
7th round draft pick, right?
Yep. Deshaun Hall was great last year.
Yeah.
There's some questions
Another
at the end.
guy, and Sharif Miller was
There you go.
end, right? So he was the last year's draft pick. Actually, fun fact, it was a defensive heavy draft last year, right? And Hallie mostly took all offensive players. The only defensive player we took in that draft was Sharif Miller from Penn State.
And he never dressed a game.
Never dressed a game. So another spotlight guy that going forward for the Eagles, if he, sink or swim for the Eagles, is Sharif Miller.
That's who I got for my 6. I have him and Osman. If Osman can beat out Toohill, and I think Deshaun Hall could just start off on the pup list because we talked about that week in and week out. That's a guy that I would like to see push this core, but he's probably going to come in hurt. So, I could definitely see 6. We run off a rotation. That's how you win the damn Super Bowl. It could be 5, though. It just really depends. But I think Sharif Miller needs to step up, like you said. But I think if he gives them a reason to keep him, it could be 6. How do you feel about that? You think it's going to be 5 or 6 there?
I'll go with 6 just because we all know how the rotation goes, right?
Yeah.
So I totally agree with the 6 that you have.
So now we come to the line because now it comes to how many total you have on the defensive line. Usually keep around 10. So I've got us keeping 4 defensive tackles. I have a lot of guys still sticking around last year because another position. It's funny how you talked about everyone says, oh, other teams were injured. Have you noticed every position I've gone through? I've said, well, some of these scrubs that were here from last year, we've got Huggins, we've got Rush, some of those guys. Not going to make the team, I'm going to be honest with you. I am excited about the defensive tackle position. You add Javon Hargrave, you get a guy like Malik Jackson who got hurt right away to start the year. Now you get to see what he's got. A guy that can play inside and out, consider him a defensive tackle and defensive end. And Hassan Ridgeway comes back, also who was hurt last year. That's 4 monsters right there in the middle.
Your 4 D tackles are already set in Hargrave. You have Cox, you have Malik Jackson, and you have Hassan Ridgeway. And those are your 4 D tackles. And then your 6 defensive ends, and then you just do rotational wise, right? Your starting 4 right now on the defensive side of the ball is looking phenomenal. Is looking great. With however you want to play it, on the defensive side. Either way, first rotation, second rotation is looking good. It's looking really good.
I like it too. And I'm a big fan of Sweat too, so I'm excited. And obviously,
well, yeah, he came into his own a litlittle bit towards the end of the year, made some plays,
having better numbers than Clowney there at the end.
Yeah, there you go. Hell yeah.
The kid. And if you look at it per snap, when he got his time to shine, he did. So you got to see that consistently as a young man. We're expecting little snaps from older guys, right? And we don't have the Chris Longs and Michael Bennett's this year, but we do have guys that can come and produce. We traded for Jannard Avery. It's time to see why we traded a 4th round pick to the Browns for you. He fits perfectly into this. Okay, well, let's see how he fits. Let's see it. So you're looking at 10 there. We're trying to get to 25 here. So that leaves us with 15. I think, and this is really obviously the most questionable position. And we talk about it, and I know you and I also know Tom are high on Jatavis Brown. I like the kid, but I also think he's on the bubble. I think everyone's on the bubble except for their love child, Nate Gary. TJ Edwards was a tackling machine, so he's great against the run in a division that needs to stop the run. So a guy that didn't miss a tackle, you keep him.
Very, very poor.
Against the run? Yeah, so he's got to get better there, and it sucks. Now, we need a guy that can tackle because we go against some of the best running backs in the game. So, like the kid there, you look at Davian Taylor, you're going to keep him because he was a high draft pick, which too high maybe, but he could pan out one day. The kid's raw, got speed, he hits. I love it. He can cover. So he could one day be that nickel. It's just scary right now. But I think they keep those 3. Then from there, it's Jatavis Brown probably has the best chance. But you look at a guy like Sean Bradley, they drafted, so that how they love the guys they draft, have to keep them. But then from there, you're looking at Duke Riley, a guy that only showed up on special teams last year. You'd hope he would play some actual linebacker. didn't really do too much of that. And then Alex Singleton, another guy. You got an undrafted guy, Dante Olson as well. It's very questionable. I think you got to at least keep 5 just because they're so damn questionable, man. What are you thinking there?
You know what? I'm going to go with 5 as well. And you brought up a good point too, is that the question marks all over the place on that middle linebacker core, right? I mean, outside of Nathan Jerry, which I can't believe I'm saying, and TJ Edwards have been on this team, and you've seen what they've done on the field so far for you. But everybody else is still question marks, right? Jatavis Brown, yeah, he played for the Chargers, but yet again, a guy that was banged up last year for the Chargers.
Exactly.
Right? He played a handful of games for Los Angeles. So, but a guy like Sean Bradley, I mean, does he make the team? A 6th-round guy. I mean, it's a great story. He played at Temple, local kid. I mean, I guess they do it because it's a great story, right? It's a local kid making the Eagles, right, from Temple. So he might make the team. And the guy that we in the third round selection, I mean, the guy that we just reached for days on, right?
That's a reach for sure, brother.
Yeah. So he probably makes a team just because you used a 3rd on him.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go 5. I'm gonna go 5 with the running backs. I mean, with the middle linebackers, just because of the fact with all the question marks, you really don't know what you have.
I agree with you there. I agree. Renee, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. King Bub. Keep everyone, get rid of Howie. Howie is very questionable. This year is going to say a lot. So we're going to see what these draft picks turn out to be. If not, we'll all be calling for his head. Michael, love it. We're going to be going into the cornerbacks next. Loving this. Me and Ralphie pretty much sticking on the line of what is going to happen with this defense and offense in our minds. And it's looking, thankfully we're not going to be going over 53 here. So we're at 5 linebackers. I like it. A lot of question marks. And obviously we've talked about it. We'd like to see a veteran come in here and just make this a much easier decision. Yeah. But Jatavis Brown, like you talked about, a guy that's been banged up. Sure, he started and played a couple games here, there, blah, blah, blah. Well, the same thing was said about Trevor Williams, and we just saw him get cut the other day. So it's these guys that you mentioned earlier. A lot of
people in the city were like, this dude could make the team. This dude could be one of the second.
I heard it, yeah.
Corner on the team. And another guy that's probably going to be a camp body that's just told, hey, wait until training camp. If something happens, you're back here in Philly, so just hang tight.
Exactly. And, giving him a chance if maybe another team is looking for somebody. So that's a nice thing to do, a good thing to do. And there's 7 more guys, that have to do that too. And, I like the guy, but like you said, I had him at like number 8 for me. I actually had Tremont Smith ahead of him just because of the fact that he could return the ball. So the top 6 I have, you're looking at, the question was Nickel Roby-Coleman. I'm ecstatic about him. I think he's one of, if not the best nickel corner in the game.
Week 1 against Washington, your 3 that's going to be out there is obviously going to be Slay, Coleman, and then Sidney Jones, right?
Yeah, we agree on that.
Sidney Jones is on the outside now, right? You played a lot of outside out there in Washington. Shut it down out there in Washington when you out there.
Win that job, baby.
For the Huskies, right? So I think he plays the majority outside. He's our number 2. And he gets it this
great point, Ralph.
Another big year for Sidney Jones. The spotlight can't get any bigger than this year, right? Listen, Jimmy, it's his contract year, right? Yep. You want the money? Do you want the money? Because it's right there in front of you. You just got to play up the par, right? Yeah, and they're not gonna set him again. They drafted him in the 2nd round. You can't waste another pick. You can't.
Exactly. And like you said, I believe in him, and I thought he did. We've talked about this on shows. I had a show about him, actually. He was one of the poll questions where, I really think he wins this number 2 job. And, you and I agreed on that show.
I think so as well.
Yep. And, we talked about production.
The production as well.
He had played 29% of the snaps, and he actually had 2 interceptions, 8 pass breakups. You look at guys like Avonte Maddox, who played 51% of the snaps and only had 10 pass breakups. Rasul Douglas played 59% of the snaps, and he only had 10 pass breakups. So the kid had more production in almost half the time than these guys, and he's balling out. So it's time to step it up, though. You're right, I think. And then you look at Nickel Roby-Coleman. But we talk about sub packages. We talk about versatility. look at guys like Avonte Maddox who can play safety, who can move around, play nickel, outside. Look at Cre'Von LeBlanc. Love him. So you're going to see some of these guys that will hopefully ease up if we go into the season with just those linebackers that can cover some of these smaller receivers, some of the tight ends maybe, and some of the running backs. So we're going to be banking on some of these corners and safeties to do that work. But what are you looking at in the cornerback room here? I got my top. You have those three. Behind them, I'm hoping there's a guy. But, I said Maddox and LeBlanc. I think they make the team. That's 5. And I'm thinking maybe because he restructured, they give Rasul Douglas, the taller corner, a chance one last time, and we keep 6 just to start the season.
You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that LeBlanc's the odd man out, and Rasul beats him for the job.
Really?
Yes. I just think Rasul's just coming for revenge. You see it. You see it on the tweets.
I did. The footwork king. That's a good guy to be working with.
He ain't playing around, right? And it seems like every time he's on the field, whether it's early in the season or late in the season, the ball always finds his hands. He's a ball hawk. He was that in West Virginia, right? His last year in West Virginia, if I'm not mistaken, he had 8 interceptions, which is insane.
Yeah, I was pissed he didn't catch some of those last year. He had 10 pass breakups. Though.
Yeah, he did. So I'm gonna go. Rasul makes his team. I know a lot of people thinking, he's gonna get cut or just be a camp body and stuff like that. But I think he makes his team this year.
I do too. I think though this year we're gonna keep 10, but it's not gonna be 5 corners, 5 safeties. I think it's gonna be 6 corners just because of the versatility of guys like. Yeah, and I think it's going to be 6 just because I think LeBlanc makes it. He helps at that nickel position, and then Maddox is your guy that can play safety, corner. He's all over the place. But I agree with you. I think Rasul Douglas has been working hard, working with the footwork king, a guy that works with Darius Slay, a bunch of other players. But, yeah, you guys that are on Twitter, all that stuff, you've seen it. He looks good, but we talk about this every week. Who gives a damn what you look like when you're practicing or when you're doing this little drill or that drill? We want to see it. But, yeah, I'm excited, too. And, man, we've all been holding on for Rasul, dude. We've been like, come on, man. He's a tall corner. He'd be perfect to line up.
His first ever play was he intercepted Eli Manning. Right?
Yeah, that was perfect, man. I had such high hopes.
Yeah.
But he's let me down.
Just because of the fact that you're given more room now for the 53, right? And and the practice squad guys, right? It's more open now. So – So for these NFL teams, they've really got to dig deep and say, okay, we can hide this dude in the practice squad, but then once time comes, we really got to put him on the 53. You know what I mean?
Yeah, got to be careful. And that's something I'm very intrigued to see what they're trying to work out there, because what they should be doing is figuring out something like adding extra practice squad players, but allowing them to like lock some of these guys, because it's going to be ridiculous, man. It's not going to be fair, because it's like, what if the quarterback room gets it? And so you got to have like a lock on a quarterback. You know what I mean? Certain things like that.
No, I totally agree.
So take everything we say with a grain of salt, because we don't know what the hell the numbers are. But right now we're going with what we know. But, hey, it'll give some of these guys in that sense, where it's hurting because of not having preseason. At least it helps to have extra spots. So they'll get to prove it in practice week in and week out. If guys aren't, they'll have a chance to step it up. So, but
with the whole safety as well too, I think the 4 safeties are set in stone right now. Right, you have Jalen Mills, you have Rodney McLeod, you have Wallace, and you have Will Parks. It's going to be your 4 safeties moving forward.
Oh, for sure. Now I have those 4 as well. Now with you only taking 5 corners, that leaves you with an extra spot. Where would you add another? That gives you 4 safeties, 5 corners. You have 5 linebackers, 4 D tackles, and 6 defensive ends.
No. I made a mistake. I'm going to keep LeBlanc. My thing was, I think Rasul's going to get more snaps than LeBlanc this year.
Okay. Oh, okay. I got you.
That was what they were how they were using Rasul. I think Rasul steps up this year, takes LeBlanc, and puts LeBlanc back down on the lower ladder. So I'm going to keep 5 corners. No, 6. Excuse me, 6 corners with the 4 safeties.
Love it. Now that's where my head was, and if I'm looking at it on a depth chart, I'm looking at, okay, here's Darius Slay. And then here's Avonte Maddox behind him. He can do all the jacket trade, blah, 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 blah. But he's essentially, if Sidney Jones gets hurt, he's really taking over that number 2. But Sidney Jones here, and then you got Rasul behind him. And then I'm looking at Nickel Roby-Coleman with Crevan LeBlanc behind him. So I think that's a great spot to be in for a team that's been decimated at corner. So
I mean, how long have we been waiting as Eagles fans, general, for depth at the cornerback position, man?
We were spoiled, man. We were spoiled. That's why.
With Shelton and Lito,
Taylor, Vincent, then Brown and Lito. Yeah,
for years.
Then we got Asante.
Yeah, for years we didn't have to worry. Right, for the past 5 years though, it's been tough. It's been very, very tough.
Dude, and that one year we had like 18, like it was a carousel of corners.
Revolving door at the cornerback position.
It was nuts, man. It made me want to lose my mind. But hey, we found LeBlanc because of it, right?
Yeah. I've actually, fun fact, the play Carson Wentz did against Chicago in 2017.
Oh, LeBlanc got that sack or something?
Yeah, LeBlanc was the actual guy that actually missed the sack. Yeah. That's
right. Good little nugget there, Ralphie. Always appreciate the nuggets.
Hey, the smartest man here. It's okay. I'm they don't like to admit it here.
You're the only person in your room, Ralphie. I love it. So John 5240 Montana. Now, John, let's keep it real, man. I've talked about Dante Olson weeks ago. I brought him up. The guy played with a damn cast on his hand his last season. He was beating people up, dude. The guy's a beast. He's a tackling machine. 5'2". That's hilarious. But I think the kid is a beast. But I don't know if he makes a team. You really like TJ Edwards? That was my sleeper last year. I really liked what I saw from him. He's got to work on that coverage skills. Good instincts in tackling. He didn't miss a tackle at all. So great points, Dank Burrito. Great points. He was great at that, but he needs to learn how to cover.
Pros about TJ Edwards. You want to talk about a guy that just loves to go tackle.
Oh, yeah.
TJ Edwards.
Hopefully he teaches Davey and Taylor that.
Yeah. Another thing, going back on the safety position, I know a lot of people out there, Eagles fans are saying, well, Jalen loves to tackle, so you could just have him in, almost the same role as Malcolm Jenkins and play close to the line. Well, it's like I don't need Jalen to play close to the line because I've seen what Jalen is close to the line when he plays, and he gets burnt every time.
Well, he'll play tight ends and running backs. He ain't playing no receivers.
No, and that's fine, but I don't need another guy to play the Malcolm Jenkins role and be on the line of scrimmage when he's a safety. My thing is that I want Jalen to play center field.
Yeah.
For the Philadelphia Eagles this year.
I think Kayvon could be Malcolm in the future.
That guy, because if you've seen throughout his career here in Philly, Jalen Mills, he's been locked down in the red zone, right? When his back is the ball and he doesn't have to worry about getting beat over top, he locks it down. So if I can get that Jalen Mills and just say, hey, Jalen, play center field, just lock it down from us. You don't have to worry about getting beat over top and just have everything in front of you. I think he can flourish in that role.
Bro, Ralphie, how good is this red zone defense going to be with the fact of what you just said? Putting someone like Jalen Mills, who's a shutdown, someone I watch with my own eyes.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie on Jalen in the red zone.
Dude, he shut down Julio Jones and watched with my own damn eyes, and I fell in love because I was like, look, and I've said this, and I've said it from the get, dude, for 3 years. The guy is great in the red zone, but you cannot leave him with 25 yards behind him.
20, anything outside the 20.
Exactly. I just said 25. Exactly, right? Dude.
Anything outside the 25 he gets burnt. But once he gets in that red zone and he doesn't have to worry about
just imagine though, dude. Slay.
Fine.
Coleman, him. If Rasul Douglas shuts it down, a taller corner.
And that's another thing too, Jimmy, is that you have these guys that you don't need a guy, your safety, to play up in the box or play the line of scrimmage anymore because you have 3 guys as your corner that can do it all the time now, right? You have a guy in Slade that can just be on his own island. You don't got to worry about him for 60 minutes because you know what you're going to get out of him, right? He might give up a play here and there, but 9 times out of 10, he's going to get that play back. He's going to break up the ball or it's going to get picked. Okay, there's a reason why it's called Slay Island. Okay, when he was on Detroit. Okay?
Dude, big play Slay, dude.
And then Toby Coleman in the slot, the nickel corner or the slot corner. I mean, he does his work. And then you have Sidney Jones where, there is some hiccups with Sidney here and there. But the fact that he came in last year, had the ups and downs, but then ended the year on two good notes, on a good note, is phenomenal for a young guy like that, right? Positive energy, positive thoughts in his mind to come back this year and say, look, if I can do that, what I did those last 2 games of the year for the Eagles, I can do it for 16 games. I'm a ride or die with Sidney Jones because I love the pick. I wanted him in 2017. We got him. I'm a ride or die with him.
Hell yeah, brother. We're gonna ride. We're gonna die on that hill, whatever happens, man. And I couldn't believe, obviously an ACL injury had him drop. He was a top 10 to 15 pick in that draft easily. And
the Achilles injury really killed him.
Yeah, and lucky us.
If he didn't have that, he was top.
He's not coming to us.
Player.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
The top 10 player.
So if he turns in, can you imagine after a few years, finally he gets healthy? If him and Slay, my Lord, with Nickel Roby-Coleman.
I mean, the other thing too with Sidney is that 2017, obviously he had the Achilles, right? He played in the last game against Dallas, which really didn't mean
rushed him back, stupid.
Didn't really mean anything. But then he had that full offseason in 2018 to get healthy again, right? But then the injury started piling up again on him. The shoulder, the hip, the hamstring. 2019, the hamstring again. So this is the first year of being removed 2 years or 3 years now from the Achilles and all the little banged up injuries to finally show hey, I can play in the National Football League. These injuries are behind me. I just want to go out and play ball.
That's right. And that's what he needs to do. And that's what he needs to do mentally. He needs to clear his mind and just get ready to ball, man. I mean, the guy is talented. We know that. That's why he was a top 10 guy. But injuries, when they do that to you, they obviously sometimes they affect you mentally, physically. So come back from that and, ball out, kid. Because now, I saw someone mention earlier, we talk about this all the time. Darius Slay, what an addition. Because he's going to make the corners better. He's going to make the receivers better, Carson Wentz better. Everyone's going to get better and it's going to make the whole defense better come game day because we have a number 1 corner. So what a great guy to have on this team, dude.
It's just, as an Eagles fan, you still have a little doubts.
We're always going to have doubts, man.
Because we know how it works in this city when you get a top guy like Darius Slay, right?
I think he'll be different, but I hear you.
Me and you thought we were world beaters when we signed, when the reports came out about Nadam Yasimwa going to Dallas. He was a lock to Dallas, and at the last second we swung in and we got him on that deal, and it was we were world beaters. We got the best corner in the league, and then it just fell apart, right? Fell apart. He didn't fit in the scheme. He couldn't do anything, and then from there on, it's dude, it's okay to have doubts because of what happened in the past, right? It's natural to have doubts.
Yeah, of course.
Darius Slay, I hope it pans out. I'm wishing it pans out. And you know what? If this dude can do what he did in Detroit for us for the next 3 years, however many more years you want to put on him, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and that's another thing that they brought him in. And they extend him another 3 years after this year. And the thing is, this year he only costs 3.5 against the cap. So a soft blow, thank God there. But what an addition. If you look at it, I made a graphic a month ago, and it was all of our corners and how much they cost compared to what the Dolphins paid for Byron Jones. And all of our corners combined are lower than Byron Jones. And it's we got Nickel Roby-Coleman. We got, hopefully, Sidney turns it up. And like you said, contract year. So if he wants to get paid and if he does well, he might have to go somewhere else. Because
another guy that's on a contract year is the defensive end, Derek Barnett.
Oh, yeah, we talk about that. $10 million you could save.
That's another guy that needs to turn it up for the defensive line or that needs to step up this year for the Eagles.
Exactly.
2017, he was everywhere. 18 and 19, you were a ghost. You weren't even noticed on the field half the times.
Yep, and we know he dealt with a couple little injuries here and there, but it's dude, we don't care. And you beat Reggie White's record. We drafted you to be a stud, dude. So
don't forget the night we drafted Derek Barnett, the back of the newspaper was saying the next day the Reggie White of the next Reggie White for the Eagles.
Yeah, thanks for that, guys. So, jinxing us, those assholes.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
But
always jumping the gun. I'll tell you that.
Oh, it's so true, man. And when we got him, I was okay. I wasn't very reassured, but I think a lot of people give him slack, but it's time, man. Time to step it up. We need you to now, man. So I'm excited for him. I think that, you make the comparison, his numbers with Clowney, honestly, they're not that different. And I think that this year, if he stays healthy and Graham's healthy and with an interior line healthy, when you have Fletcher Cox out and you have everyone else out, we planned on having Malik Jackson last year, didn't have him either. Now you have Hargrave, Cox healthy. Dude, good luck, whoever you're double teaming. The defensive ends are going to feast. Everybody's going to feast. I am very excited for this defense, my friend.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that. I mean, this defensive line, first rotation, second rotation, shit, maybe even put a third rotation in there.
Seriously.
If you want to get cute, right? But yeah, the defensive line's looking solid. I think that's the only thing that's keeping me sane about this defense. That's getting me really excited is the defensive line, because you have so many big boys up front now that you can't.
They can rush.
You can't double team Fletcher Cox anymore.
Yep.
Right?
And they're not just run stoppers; they can rush too.
You have Hargraves, you got to worry about. You got to worry about Barnett. You got to worry about Graham. You got to worry. I mean, Josh Sweat's another guy that came on from last year at the tail end of the year that was really good. Yeah, and then you have hopefully a full season of Malik Jackson. So you can't double cover, you can't double team Fletcher Cox off the bat. So, exactly. And I'll put this out there. You better hope your offensive line is healthy when you step into the link. And if not, it's going to be a long day for you. Long day.
That is the truth, my brother, because look at the monsters of the Midway going on there, dude. I mean, I really can't wait to see what they do, and that's going to shore things up. And I think having all of these guys that we talk about, the excitement, we're talking about the outside there, the surrounding bubble of inside there, the linebacker. So hopefully it makes it a little bit easier on us to have these questions. And we talk about the safeties having the capability of playing some of these roles. So we're a predominant nickel team. So it is scary for us. When Nate Gary, he's great. He's actually pretty good at coverage, but he can't tackle. Now, I know he was hurt, so hopefully he works on things.
Can't tackle.
So, but then you got the opposite with TJ Edwards, who can tackle but can't cover worse shit. So it's like, hopefully they worked on things, and I know things change from year to year. So I'm not saying these guys can't. I'm just going off of what we see here, and it's kind of risky if that's, they're seeing the same things we are. They see a lot more, but it's like, dude, you thought that maybe you'd put a little more value into the position, but hey, I mean, it is what it is. They didn't. And someone said here about Clowney. Can you talk about some cap casualties for next year, considering being 72 mil over? Yeah, that was something I touched on. With being 51 mil over, now they could add 23, so we could be looking to be in over $74 million over. That could be rough. Now,
ain't good. That ain't good.
And Ralphie had mentioned Derek Barnett. That's a guy you could save $10 million right there. If he doesn't pan out, that's $10 million you save. You talk about Alshon Jeffrey, that's $10 million you could save. Deshaun Jackson, that's $8 million you could save. Some of the guys like Ertz need a new contract. Maybe you can convince him to restructure something until he gets a new one. But with all this Corona going on, maybe someone like Carson Wentz. I mean, there's some guys that you could hopefully reach out to restructure things. But I
think right now it's too early to see what the cap casualties are going to be like for next year, just because you don't know how all this stuff this year is going to pan out, right? So you don't know if stuff from this year is going to linger over to next year, or how the situation is going to work next year and stuff like that. I know, Jimmy, you were talking about they might add some money to the salary cap or something like that for next year as well. So.
Well, they're taking away, actually, and they're talking about up to 23 mil. So, because it's at 198 is what the salary cap is. They're saying that next year it could go anywhere from 195 to 175. So that could be up to 23 mil
for the Eagles, which is very bad.
Very bad. Yeah. So luckily they were talking about 70, dude. So luckily they spread it over 4 years. But still, we could get punched in the face with we're already 51 mil over. You add an extra 23, it's like, salt in the wound. That's two of those good players I talked about.
To be honest, I'm not really worried about, I guess you could say you're somewhat worried about, but I mean, Howie's a wizard.
Howie'll figure it out for sure. And we'll see some of your favorite players gone.
So many holes with the cap situation. And I mean, look at this year. We were 20 something over the cap starting this year, something crazy like that. And now we're 26 under, right? We're 21 under. We got 21 under to work with now, which is insane.
The rookies, they all signed their contracts finally this week. That's one of the big pieces of news. Now, their cap total together is $9 million. And doesn't mean that it's going to be a $9 million cap hit on us, because the way the cap works is it's the top 51 contracts. So whoever makes the team, now the first couple picks, you're looking at Rieger with $2 million, you're looking at Hurts with $1 million. If they make it over some of the other guys, then their roster cap is actually going to count against our cap. So it's going to be around 20 mil, like you said. Now, that's going to carry over next year. Whatever you don't spend, you get next year. So luckily, that would take at least around 20 mil off of our let's say we add some guys through the year. You're looking at 15 next year. So
to be honest, you know what? That's a good thing too, because you could see that maybe Howie just knowing that he could be in that big of a hole where $70 million or $50 million, and he just bites the bullet and says, listen, I can't make any more moves. I got to save this $21 million. Say you have $50 million in the hole, that 21 wipes out the 50, and now you're 30 million in the hole, right? Yep. So now it's better to work with the 30 mil than 50 and 70 mil. So you could also see it play out like that, where Howie doesn't make any more moves. He just rides the wave, and hopefully everything pans out.
Stubborn ass. Yeah.
Listen. If that were to happen, and the football team is what it was last year at the trade deadline, oh man, get the pitchforks out, because we're coming.
Exactly.
I will.
But that's the thing. Howie's always wheeling and dealing, and with a weird year, other teams are going to be struggling too. So other teams are going to see areas of need. So maybe we have Jalen Hurts. Maybe we have someone a team's interested in. Like you said, there's other guys that are older. There's Malik Jacksons. There's guys that are older that could be cap casualties, but maybe a little too soon to tell, because you have no clue what the hell. If they do so great, you're going to want them back, But some of these guys, they're going to be your favorite, but it's just going to be part of the game. But Corona is screwing everything for us, so we really don't know. We're taking everything day by day. I mean, they even pulled a fast one and told us no fans are coming to the game. And then the next day, they're like, well, you got to wear a mask. And you're like, son of a, don't give me a heart attack here. So everything is day by day, guys.
They don't know what they're doing, Yeah. And you saw from the other three major sports with baseball, basketball, and hockey, everything's changing every single day until it's set in stone, right? So things with the NFL is going to be changing day by day until you really see stuff's set in stone with that situation. Yep.
And that's it. And it's like, no one knows what's going on. So we're just going off of what we have now, what we're going with. And the thing we were talking about, where it's going to be up to 23 mil added next year, that was agreed on today, a few hours before the show. So, and it is something, guys, unfortunately, we are going to have even more of a burden next year than just 51.
Let me ask you this, Jimmy, because this is been one of the biggest questions, of the offseason. Mm-hmm. Are you comfortable with the Eagles not having offensive coordinator this year and having Doug being that head guy?
Yes, because here's the thing. We all knew that this was his offense. No, he wasn't fooling anyone. He's the offensive coordinator anyway. But what I liked was he didn't just say, like, I know what I'm doing out here. I'm going to just go in the season. I'm offensive coordinator. He said, I'm going to be offensive coordinator. I call the plays anyway. Let's just keep it real. I mean, the Niners did it and made it to the Super Bowl. It's nothing out of this world. But he added guys like Rich Scangarella. Martin Morningweg is back. He added guys that are very smart guys that have done a lot of things that he doesn't necessarily do. Running the ball well, doing things that are going to add to his plethora of, not just his play calling, but, how he sees the game and everything. So we talked about Moorhead, all the coaches, Matt Burke, all these guys I'm excited to see that are going to help him out. So, I'm actually pretty excited. What are your thoughts on it, actually?
At first I was like, I don't know, man. Not having an OC, which is weird, because if you look at the Eagles, I mean, they've always had, whether your head coach Chip Kelly was calling plays, or Andy Reid was calling plays, or Doug
still had somebody,
you still had your offensive coordinator, right? So it's going to be different. But I agree. You brought in guys that know the game of football, that are knowledgeable about the game of football. So I think I'll be all right. But I know a couple people out there that ain't too fine with not having an OC. I'll tell you that.
I hear you, dude. That day, people were like, "Are you kidding, man? It's gonna be Deuce," and it's like, dude. I mean, he's still there. He's gonna have the same role he would have if they would have called him offensive coordinator. But I'm with the guys that I get it. It's not one of those things that I'm like, oh, like I'll fight people. You know what I mean? It's like, I get you, man. I'm with you. But let's be real. This is Doug's offense. So I like the other moves, though. I like adding guys, and he's bringing like assistant wide receiver coach, assistant running back coaches that I like. You know what I mean? So it's like he's bringing lots of guys that are going to help him. And, at the end of the day, he's going to call the play. But, I'm intrigued to see the practices. I can't wait, man. It's a lot of bright minds. And, people would be most familiar with Scangarello, with the Niners, helping out Kyle Shanahan a lot. That run game, dude. If we can incorporate Miles Sanders running the ball well, and, we're going to open things up with these receivers, just imagine what this team's going to look like.
Yeah, if the wide receivers can stay healthy and we can take the top off the defense. I mean, you saw it for the first two games, at least when Deshaun was playing, where you had a deep threat and how well the running game was when you had a deep threat on the field, right? It opens everything up for you. You can do a lot of more things, but once you take that deep threat out, now teams are like, all right, well, I don't need to worry about getting beat over top. I'm just going to put 8 guys in the box and just make you use a player that you're not really comfortable with, beat me over the top. And you saw a lot when Deshaun went out. We didn't have a guy that could take the top off the defense, so it was always a slant here, little drag route here.
Dinking and dunking,
right? So, I mean, it was like that, and it sucked. Big time.
Sure did. We had to bring Shelton Gibson back. That's how bad things were last year.
Very bad.
I mean, now you added some speed all over the place. So it's going to be competition. And if guys get hurt, well, you got other guys to step in. So we needed that. It's going to take off the top, but they got to also be able to catch. We got guys that hopefully can catch. So I know people talk about Rager. I think he does a great job of that. People will see that. But I think this team is primed to do wonderful things because now it's going to make Ertz and Goddard even better because now you can't just key on them. You can't key on Miles Sanders. It's going to be – if everyone's healthy, we are a Super Bowl.
You know what?
Team.
I wish this was like Madden where you can just take off injuries. Just turn.
How about it? Turn them off and let's see. Chiefs, Eagles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Speed on speed.
Yeah.
Baby.
I would love it, but it's reality. You can't. Injuries happen, right? But yeah, it's going to be very interesting this year with this Philadelphia Eagles football team going forward.
For sure. And, my cousin had brought up the other day a great point. He said something about, he was like, hey, I'm excited because we're going to go into the into the season without any injuries in the preseason. I was like, yeah, that's great and all. Yeah, we already lost Brooks, but everyone's healthy. Yeah. The problem is you're not knocking any rust off. You're going right into a damn game. We might see a lot more injuries. So it's like, oh, dear God.
And that's another thing, too. Like, you as much as you can practice game speed, it's not really game speed until you step on that field week one.
Hit the mouth by another man coming for your shit. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And that's real game speed.
Exactly. Right? You know what I'm talking about. We know as someone that played, dude. It's like when you're at practice and you want to be the toughest dude with your friends, but they're your friends. They're your brothers. And it's much different than when you're going against an enemy. I mean, there's a whole talking shit factor. There's I'm coming for you, baby. Like, yeah, it's a little bit different there, guys.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it. The Phillies suck today. We all know that. But I'm excited for the Birds to start Tuesday. And this coming Friday, we'll actually have some football to talk about that we've seen and watched with our eyes.
It starts on Tuesday, right?
Baby.
July 28th. All right.
Rookies will show up. We'll be talking about who's there. We'll talk about the 7 guys that we thought were going to get cut. I had a list. And honestly, it started with a couple receivers. Manisha Bailey was on there. Robert Davis I had on. It was a toss between him and Deontay Burnett. And we're talking about before Tuesday starts because there's got to be 7 of them. Looked at a guy like Elijah Riley, defensive back that doesn't really fit in. Maybe him or Gray Leonard, Prince Smith. We're looking at Anthony Rush, D-tackles. Some guys where there's some overload at positions, which was receiver. D-tackle, I think, is set. Corner. So, 7 guys are going to be gone by this Tuesday. So can't wait to talk to you guys next week because we'll actually have some damn football to talk about.
Absolutely.
Ralphie, why don't you go ahead and say some final words to the people before we head out?
You could always catch us on Wednesdays with Greg, Tommy, Ryan, Frank, and the guys on Wednesday nights, either 8 o'clock, maybe 9, 9:30, 10, 10:30, whenever the guys want to go live. So, hey, find us on Wednesdays.
Love it. Love it. OG, if you want to do yourself a favor and learn a little bit, you can go ahead and rewind this video, watch from the beginning. You will learn about all the depth that the Eagles actually do have and how well they're going to do this season. For everyone else, I appreciate you all tuning in tonight, this beautiful Friday night. Hopefully the Phillies turn it around the next game. Sixers basketball will be back soon. We're getting pumped. Training camp Tuesday. But I love you all. I hope you're all having a safe weekend. If you need anything, you reach out. But until next week, everyone enjoy. And as always, go Birds!